Hello Libra, welcome to your shadow work reading. Today is Shadow Day. Tuesday is Mars Day, and Mars highlights our shadow energy. And today we're going to be seeing what type of shadow energy you need to be paying attention to right now. Warning, warning, this can get a little bit triggering, okay, when we're dealing with the shadow and when we are kind of like focusing on those aspects of ourselves that we want to hide. All right, so only take what resonates and leave what does not. If you like this shadow reading, make sure you comment down below in the comments. Make sure you like this video if you find something that resonates. I greatly appreciate it. If you don't know by now, I am Auji, and this is Sacred Libra, where we talk all things Libra. Let's get right into it. I'm going into the archetype deck to see which aspect of our shadow do we need to focus on right now, okay? Oh, the hero / heroine comes out. And this is, the shadow attribute is escapism and a false sense of heroism. First, we've got to unpack this. We have to unpack this. So the first thing that comes out is escapism. Escapism is the tendency to seek distraction and relief from unpleasant realities. So, we talking about those addictions, the part of us that dive into something else because we don't want to face what's true. The part of us that puts up that blindfold, whether it's in love, whether it's in friendship, whether it's in family. How could you, shadow work question, how are you escaping reality right now, an unpleasant reality? Especially by seeking entertainment or engaging in fantasy. A lot of the times we go into this fantasy type living or this fantasy type ideal because we don't want to deal with what's harsh. So what part of your life are you creating a fantasy about? Okay. And then we also want to get into, we got two to pack, two to pack down. It's the false sense of heroism. And heroism is bravery. So false sense of bravery. And this is how you this is that pride. This is that pride, all right? It's a stock character. False. This is somebody is a villain. Someone is very, very particular, okay? So this is when you getting very, real crafty about, with your stuff. The shadow is getting a little too like, stop talking. Like, stop talking. I don't want to come on here today. I don't want to share my stuff with these people. But this is how you kind of make your, the villain seem like a hero. How many times in your life have you gotten away with doing something villainistic, if that's even a word? And other people, they were so naive, they didn't catch on, but they made you a hero in your own villain-esque. It's the villain that wants the praise of the hero. It's the person who sets the scene up so they can actually come out there and win. But all of this is for personal gain. So when have you been a false hero? False bravery. I also want to go into false bravery too. False bravery is over the top courage. It's also like a false bravado. Um, Being all puffed up over your own ostentatious displays of bravery and boldness, as if you are desperate to hear your shouts of approval. So being desperate to be that hero. So it's kind of like, instead of focusing on your own stuff, you may be focused on another person, and there's a need for you to look at, number one, how you escape reality, unpleasant realities, and go into this fantasy world, and two, how you can play a false hero, how you make your villain antics or your villain actions look like they're heroic, how you're able to alchemize with it, also false bravado and overly sense of courage that's coming from your own. It's what you think is tough. It's just like a guy, like, you see these guys, and they may have this wrong idea of a male, and they feel like a man is tough if he, is in the streets, or if he wears guns, or if he, you know sells drugs or something like that. That's a false sense of what a person feels like is tough. So I do feel like there's a need for you to get back to what you think brave is. Maybe it's yelling. Maybe it's being the loudest person in the room. Maybe it's being the one who is throwing insults. Maybe it's being extra violent. There's something that you're trying to prove yourself with, being overly courageous with, or overly confident even. I was just about to slip up and say that. That is just masking your insecurities. And then there's also this sense of this reality that you go into that's also masking the reality, the unpleasant reality that you have to face. You go into this energy. Now, this could be some addictions or something like that. Some of you guys, you could be doing one. And some of us, we're doing both. We're sitting here, we're doing both. We are going into our imagination, our imaginary world. We are limerent, okay? Having this limerent way of thinking where everything is a fairy tale, and we're not quite focusing on the things that we don't like because we don't want to, right? We're not focusing on those things because, quite frankly, we do not want to focus on those things, okay? Um, for some of you guys, you have this passion to be this type of hero, but it looks like that the way that you're going about it, it could definitely be all wrong. Like, you could have the wrong idea of how you're going about a certain type of thing. All right, so let's go ahead and get through this reading. Not too bad today. Shadow not getting us, like getting us today. The shadow is being nice to us today on Mars Day. Not too much. Something's not too crazy. Where did I put my, okay. All right. Let's see. Let's see what else. This is the aspect. Why do you need to focus on this? Because you're ready to make a change in your life. Alright, so it looks like the changes that you're going to be making right now, the changes that you're going to be focused on and dedicated on making, has a lot to do with these addictions or coping mechanisms, or this false bravado, this overly pride information. Some of you guys could be way too prided or way too tough. And it's because your inner child at a young age seen that that's what it looks like to be tough. For some of you guys, it's this, it could be like lavishing, like you could like have this thing where you kind of show up as this like very, very expensive, bougie, lavish, dressed in designer type of person that kind of hides your insecurities. There's a need for you. I feel like there's a strong craving for you to kind of like show up in your true essence. And the fact that you're on this pivot, okay, something has been really, really hard. It's given that something is being hard for you to keep up the act. With this thing, I do feel like you're realizing, as much as you kind of ignore these unpleasant reality checks, that something is only getting bigger. It's almost like you don't want to clean up the room, so you throw everything under the rug and you have this big old pile under the rug. Sooner or later, this pile is going to become, the rug is just going to become a part of the pile, because the pile is going to be so big. And by the time you go to clean it, you may even be overwhelmed because of the mess that you've created by ignoring something. So some of you guys, this could be, you could be creating mess by ignoring something and going on to the attributes that you like, or going into your imagination about something. A lot of this has a lot to do with like coping mechanisms, addictions, things like that. That could be the reason why there's something in your life that's unpleasant that you just don't want to face. And coming to terms with that, like, what is something that you don't want to face right now? What are the harsh realities that life is hitting you with right now? It's key for us to know them so we can change them, okay? If we just look in the other way, we don't have enough information. We don't have enough acceptance of the problem so we can actually change the problem. You know, the first step is admitting that there's something there. It needs to be clean, it needs to be fixed. But if we're not looking at it at all, we don't know what's happening, or if we're checking out. I know I had a thing like that. Like, I was like checking out so much, like so much, just not listening to what, no, I didn't like what people were saying. That's so rude of me, but I had a little phase where I just felt like people were just lying. And I don't know, I felt like I had like a person that lied to me a lot, that kind of made me lose faith in people in general. So when people would talk, I would tune them out. Because, and I do feel like that, like, and I didn't work on that. I noticed that that was a problem. And then now, like, I have to really work really, really hard to listen, because my mind just want to tune something out. Like, I can do it, like, and I know how to say, to act like I'm listening, and I'm not listening. Like, I am a master of acting like I'm listening to a person when I'm not. And you will have no idea. Like, I know when to respond, I know when to say things, but just don't ask me what you just said, because then you're going to find out I'm not listening at all. So, I had to deal with that. Like, that was like years and years and years. And I knew that it was something bad that I had to fix. I knew that it wasn't right. I knew that it was rude. I knew that it was bothering people who talked to me. But I would just rather go into my own world. And that was how I escaped. So I do feel like that you have to realize the ways in which you escape. Not saying you have to go ahead and today, coming from this reading, you're not going to escape anymore. That's just not realistic. But at least you'll know in what ways you escape. What times do you escape? When do the unpleasant realities really, really set in your life? Is there a time frame? Is there a time frame where you start thinking about certain things, where reality starts to hit you? A lot of we are in like the time where most people are on drugs. Most people are on drugs, they are on antidepressants. Most people are on something to alter their reality, or alter how they take in what's happening in the world. And I say that because of the glorification of drugs, alcohol, things. This is the first time in my life that I've seen people like glorifying doing drugs. And I mean hard drugs. I'm not talking about weed and alcohol. I'm talking about the other stuff. Like, I will watch a podcast and they going for it. I'm like, okay, crackhead. So I'm just kidding. But you know, I'm a little judgy with that, because that's just not that's not something that I think. I'm just from another time, okay? So I look at that and I'm like, wow, damn, they don't care who's listening to this. They don't care who's who's picking this thing up, who may be like, okay, ooh, I want to try. Just like they may have a drink or something and say it's so good, or talk about a night when they, had a drink or did something. And I'm like, oh, I want to try that. Then I'm like, they're not thinking about who's listening or who's watching these things. But this is a time where everybody is escaping reality. So if you feel like you're escaping in certain areas in your life, you're normal. Okay, number one, this is a normal attribute. There's just a need for you to understand how you escape. And healthy escapism, let me go into what that is. Healthy escapism. Okay, healthy escapism is using a physical activity to take a break from the stressors of the real world. It's a great way to keep stress low and creativity high. So there is a way where you can pivot this. As you can see, the Six of Swords. So it does look like you're doing a little bit of alchemy because you are taking some negative attribute and you are trying to pivot it. This is not trying to delete our shadow. We are just trying to work with our shadow. We left our shadow by itself to figure things out. But now, with the knowledge that we have from life, from mistakes, from things like that, we know how to kind of work with our shadow to make something unhealthy healthy. Okay, there's some times where you do need a overly amount of courage to actually do something. You do sometimes you do need to talk yourself up and beef yourself up to do things. But when you're doing something at the detriment to another person or the detriment to yourself, and the false sense of acting like you're strong or acting like you're tough or acting like you're this heroic, especially if it's a malicious action that you're actually manipulating another person into seeing it as a heroic action, then that can be very, very detrimental to yourself or detrimental to another person. But the reason why you do need to look at this right now is because you're going through a transformation. Things might start feeling differently. You may start feeling differently. Um, you are also getting this mental clarity. This is a whole mental upgrade, and you're trying to get yourself on better waters. You're trying to be at peace with all aspects of yourself. So you're also like trying to see the root cause of something. And the fact that things are going smoothly for you, you're not really afraid to face certain things right now. This is a perfect time to heal. Divine Feminine season. Perfect time to heal. Perfect time to kind of like come in, get back in tune with yourself, and, you know, start really, really changing. The things that need to be released is your absolute love for this thing. You absolutely love it. You know that it's like false. You know that this thing is causing you harm, but you absolutely love it. These are the addictions. These are for the stoners here. The weed smokers, okay? The people who take a little drink, okay? People who may smoke cigarettes or may smoke, you know, other things, and they comfort you. Absolutely. That's the hardest thing about kind of like leaving your addictions. You absolutely love it. And this is just your coping mechanisms. If you feel like something is hindering you, and you feel like you know you need to change something, you feel like you know you need to stop something, there's a need for you to kind of like release the love that you have for it. For some of you guys, you love going into the room and acting like you're a hero when you know you're not, or acting like you're above other people when you know you're not, or having this false sense of superiority over other people when you know you don't. A lot of you guys, you love the attention that it gives you. You love the status that it gives you. You love how people look at you. You also love how, you know, that false sense of confidence kind of shakes other people up because they have no idea if it's real or if it's fake. Instead of you actually building a solid foundation, you know, all you have to do is look a certain way, dress a certain way, talk a certain way, walk a certain way, and a person would think, oh, this person is hella confident or this person is hella brave. So for some people, all you have to do is align yourself with certain type of people, other people who are faking it, and you kind of look like a team, a real, real strong team. For some of you guys, you love the attention that it gives. You love the feeling that it gives. It gives you such fulfillment, and that needs to be released. That needs to be released, okay? How this thing is going to be released by you listing down your fears. There's a need for you to kind of let this Nine of Swords work for you in a enlightenment way, okay? Also, there could be some type of mentorship, therapy, things like that. If you're thinking about therapy, make sure you at least take a session. At least go out there and book yourself one session and kind of see what it is. And What I've learned is that you may want to write down the things because you only have like an hour. So you may need to write down something that you want to talk about right on this one instead of being all over the place. So it won't seem like you just, everything was just all over the place. Um, a way that you do that is you kind of like write out your fears. What if you didn't have this shield over you? What would you do? What is the worst thing that can happen? What is the fear? Getting down to the roots of your fears here. Um, I do feel like there's some fulfillment that's linked to a fear. So I do feel like get into your fears. There's something that you're fearing here. That's why you kind of clothe yourself with this overly thing. And also, if you were to face your reality, if a person were to see you vulnerable, write down your fears of what you think a person would see if they were to see you vulnerably. And that's for the false heroism. And then for the escapism, if you were to actually face this reality, what are the fears? What does that mean about you? What does that mean about the things that you've done in your life? What does that say about your life? What does that say about you? Get down to the root of these fears. There's a need for you to kind of like write those things down so you can release this actual feeling of this false sense of fulfillment, because it is a false sense of fulfillment. Um, how you can do this in the best way? You can do this in the best way by getting some type of help, um, being patient with yourself. There's a lot to unpack here, but there's a need for you to do it once at a time. So that list of kind of like doing one thing at a time. Don't try to cold turkey and quit like everything. Do something one thing at a time, but there's a need for you to be aware of it. It can be this week is your week of just awareness, where you're just documenting all of the things, being aware of yourself. And then we can start to kind of like alter things. But I do feel like that there's a need for you to have some type of control. Um, there also may be some type of person. Is given to me like there's a need for some type of mentorship. There's a need for some type of therapy. There's a need for some type of outside help. Um, also, let's see what else. The truths that you must acknowledge is your true feelings. Okay, so this is a breakdown on some type of true feelings. You got the page of cups, not the page, the knight of cups here. And this is the expression. This is your third, your throat chakra. True self-expression. And for some of you guys, you can be even scared to say how you feel even to yourself. It's like you don't want to say exactly how it is that you feel. You're afraid to kind of speak it because you feel like it's going to make it real, but it's already real. And there's a need for you to speak this thing so you can release it. Or there's a need for you to write it, or there's a need for you to just feel it. I feel like a lot of these things are you don't want to feel. The escapism is you kind of numbing yourself because you don't want to feel something. You don't want to truly express how it is that you feel. You don't even want to feel it. So there's no need for you to express it, because if you don't feel it, if you have this false sense of heroism and this escapism both working together, then you won't even feel it. But I do feel like that there's something that you need to feel. Um, a perfect way to cleanse is to have a day where you cry. Like you get all those things out, like all of those things. And a lot of people do those on like Sundays or Saturdays or days when they have like a couple hours to themselves where they will write down their fears and write down how they felt about the week. Like When you think about it, like your whole life is an inhale, exhale. So when you're going through things in life, are you just holding those things and they have to come out somewhere? And we can see where they're coming out at, but there's a healthier way for you to come out. Remember, the whole point of you going here is for you to turn something from negative to a positive. So you're trying to make a pivot point in these areas in your life, which is really, really good. You may need some help doing this. You may need someone else to kind of like help you. You may need to watch some videos. You may need to read a book, but it is like asking you to reach outside. Someone has more experience doing something than you may do. Also, there could be someone at work. For some of you guys, you have someone at work that you can actually talk to that has a lot of experience when it comes to shadow work. There's a need for you to kind of like express your true feelings here. Express your true feelings. How you feel. Okay, so what you will learn, so for some of you guys, there's something that you have to learn about yourself. Some of you guys, you've neglected something so long. You've neglected a part of you for so long that it's actually like a whole living child or a living being that you don't even know. You have no idea like who this person is, what they like, you know, what makes them upset, what makes them happy. There's a whole other aspect that you have neglected. And once you tap into this part of yourself, it's like the high priestess, you lift the veil, but you lift the veil on you. There's a whole other aspect that has been hiding here that you just don't quite know. There's a whole reason as to why you put these guards on you, or this false sense of bravado, or you've been escaping in these different realities. And it's a person, it's something you've been escaping. When you cover yourself up in this false sense of bravery, it's something that you're covering up. And I do feel like you've gotten into the habit, like something can be a habit for you. You could have shaped your life around this. And there is something that you are covering up. There is something that you are escaping. And depending on how long you've been doing this, like I feel like that this could be, you know, this could be a year's worth of something where you do have to get to know this other aspect of you. Um, but this kind of brings you closer to your intuition. With this escapism, with you kind of avoiding something and covering something up, there is a whole there is some untapped potential that's there as well that you have no idea about. Yeah, there may be some type of painful truths or hard truths that you may have to look at that you don't want to look at, but there is also some untapped potential. Like this person has talents, this person has gifts. This aspect of your soul has a lot of gifts, lots of spiritual knowledge that you just don't know, because I feel like they're both linked. There's a part of you that feels really, 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 really small. So that's why you have to cover it and make it seem bigger. There's a part of you that could feel really, really, really insecure. That's why you have to make it feel bigger. There's a part of you that could feel really, 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 really scared. That's why you rather look at something else. That's why you'd rather smoke, or you'd rather drink, or you'd rather have sex, or you'd rather, like, it's something else that's happening here, that you are escaping some type of reality, or you're escaping the phase that a part of you is in. And this is a part of you because this is a part of your destiny. This is a part of your growth. This is a part of your journey, okay? I feel like once you examine this shadow aspect of yourself, it's going to teach you a lot about yourself. It's going to teach you about hidden secrets about you that you have no idea, hidden knowledge, hidden potential, some type of mysterious nature. Also, you get back in tune with your self-sensuality. So some of you guys, I did say using sex as an escape mechanism, but some of you guys could have a sexual block. Some of you guys could have a sensual block. You could have a love block. You have a block on your heart or something like that. Something is also blocking you here too, that you're going to learn about yourself too. And last but not least, let's get into this. Let's see. So you can use this information to love yourself a little bit more. The reason for this information is for you to kind of like love yourself a little bit more, to be open, to open yourself up a little bit more, be vulnerable. But first, there's a need for you to practice being vulnerable with yourself. Um, there's a need for you to practice being vulnerable just alone, being loving, being nurturing just to yourself first. This opens you up to a lot of love, but it also opens you up to a lot of vulnerability. Um, this also could strengthen your relationships with other people. Um, because if you are escaping from yourself and you are putting this false sense of bravery on, this big old coat or this big old armor on for yourself, just imagine how you're doing that in your other relationships. Imagine how many people really, really want to get to know you, really, really want to, love you, but instead they have this huge armor or this guard that they're loving, or they have this person who's not even focused enough to kind of like even be in the present moment with them. For some of you guys in your relationships, you are not in the present moment. You're either thinking way ahead or you're thinking about some type of thing that happened in the past. It's like escaping the present by all means. I feel like as we close, a great question to ask yourself is, what is so scary about my present life? What is so scary about the present moment? What is so scary about right now for me that I have to feel like I need to A, guard and protect myself, and B, escape my whole reality? What is so scary now? All right. So that is your reading, Libra. I'm going to be going more into this heroine, hero shadow aspects on Patreon. So you can go ahead and follow me over there, the shadow work um, tier. I will be going over there next. I hope you guys enjoyed this reading. If you did, make sure you give this reading a big thumbs up and make sure you guys are subscribed. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next video.